Hello and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be working with 3 house mouse that were just released from Spellbinders for Christmas, and we're going to do some coloring and some assembling of some cards. So what I have got here is Holiday Dreams, and this is Mud Pie, and Mud Pie is sleeping with the stockings hung. And we have Dream and Believe, wishing you a dreamy Christmas and may all your holiday dreams come true. And I have already stamped this up. I used some VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink for that. And then I've also got the Sweet Twist. And this is Maxwell. And Maxwell is inside of a Christmas stocking and eating a candy cane. The sentiments with this set are sweet holiday wishes. Hope your stocking is filled with holiday cheer and unwrap the magic. Merry Christmas. And here we go. We've got it stamped up. And then we've got one more. And this is Sending Peace. And it's Monica and Friend. The bird is the friend. And we've got Peaceful Tidings, Peace and Joy to you this Christmas, and Peace on Earth, Goodwill to all. I really like this one. So I've got all of them stamped up and ready to go. I'll show you. I've got this one ready to go. And we're just going to dig right in and just do some coloring. I'm going to bring in some Copic markers, and I've sped this up, and I'm just going to get some color laid down on these. Now I'll talk about the stamp sets. These are the rubber mounted stamps, and you just take the foam pad out of your MISTI and you just stamp them right up just like that. And these stamp beautifully with so much tiny detail. You get a really great stamping with these rubber stamps. It's just not like the other kinds. It's just really very, very detailed, and you get some really fine lines and just some great stamping with that. So I'm bringing in 3 different colors of red. One of them, this one almost looks pink, but it is a red in the red tones of Copic markers. I'm not given the colors. I'm not a colorist. I'm going to put some color down on this, and we're going to make some cards. So I'm making my berries red with this, and I've got that lighter pink that is in the center, and then I'm going to take a darker red around the outside edges when we get there, and we'll use the same red, the mid-tone red on the candy cane, and get it colored in. And it is taking a minute just to get all these berries, and we're going to color the stems brown. I'm checking my ink to find a color for the mouse's face that would be light enough, wouldn't be too dark, and I'm just going to lay some color down on there. And I needed to fill in a little red underneath the mouse's cheek on the candy cane, and I'm just going to add some darker, like a brown, to the mouse's hair and the furry, just to add some contrast there. Now here I'm bringing in that darker red, and I'm going all the way around the berries. There's like a little line around there, and it shows you just right where the edge is, and so I went around it and darkened those up. So I'm going to come back in and finish darkening those up. The interruption, I was actually watching my friend Jana on her live. She's J. Marie Designed, and I was just chatting there. I've got my little keyboard off to the side and was just sending little chat messages in there. So here I am just kind of cleaning up with a jelly roll, white jelly roll, and fixing things. And here I'm laying some gray ink down on here in kind of the shadowed areas. And I don't know, I lost my mind, and I forgot to color the green of the stocking. I kind of followed the packaging, and I laid that gray down on there, but it actually worked out good for some shadowing that I had that gray on there, and I just laid the green over it and just filled it in. And then we'll go back to the next one, which is our Sweet Dreams, or Holiday Dreams, I'm sorry, and I'm just going to color in these stockings. We're going to kind of keep a red and green theme for these, and so the packaging, they did kind of a green, a yellow, a blue, and a purple stocking. But I thought we would have pairs of stockings hung here, and so I hung 2 red and 2 green, and I'm coloring in the little tree limb that has been brought in to create the tree with some brown, as well as the little log bed that Mud Pie is laying in. And we'll get it all colored in with just a brown marker. I'll bring a darker brown in to add some shading to it, some shadows, and use it. And then I'm going to bring in the color for the face of the little mouse, and get his little feet and tail colored in. I also brought in a pink for the nose, and then I wanted to go back over the first one that I did and add the same pink to it because I liked it. Now I'm coloring the spools in here from the thread, and these are our little makeshift tables for our little mouse. And we've got a little candle on the one, and I'm just going to bring some gray in and color around underneath the bed and the spools. Now, I'll tell you, I couldn't think of spool to save my life. I had to Google it and look it up. I was calling them spindles, and I was like, that's not right. So I paused the voiceover, and I deleted when I said spindles, and I looked it up and had to look up spool. I couldn't think of it. Oh, I tell you, sometimes I get worried. Anyway, so I'm going to color in around the face with just a little darker brown and just add some, just make him look a little like a little hairy mouse, and just fill in around gray, and that'll finish off that panel. And then we're going to move right into our sending peace panel and start coloring it up. And so there's not really a lot of coloring on here. There's a lot of white that I'm leaving on these with the kind of the white around the stocking, and then we've got the white bird, but I'm going to try and add some color to it with some gray, and I'm going to bring in one of my lighter natural tones and add some color to this bird. Not sure if that was the best thing to do, but I wanted to get a little bit of color on there and not have it just my hammer mill white panel. So I brought that green back in and used it to color the sprig that is in the dove's mouth. And that pretty much finished off that one. So I went off camera and I cut the first one down to 3 3/4 by 5, and I used a nested die for the other two, and we're going to just get to working on it. So this one I kept really simple. I just cut some panels. I took the outside frame of one of the other panels to lay down the green, and then I stepped inside of that with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel, and then my actual panel with my design is 3 3/4 by 5, and that's what I did for this particular card, and we're just going to get to assembling it. Now, I think I told you guys that I would be done with VBS after the decorating, but I had to step in and help with registration, so it's been a busy week. I've had the boys all during the day, and then I've been zipping into VBS just at registration time and helping with the registration. So I was able to get all of these panels stamped late last night, and they just laid on my craft desk. And then around 4 o'clock, I was able to work on coloring, and I got them all colored, and I think I got everything done. And then I popped out of the house. I guess it took me an hour and 45 minutes, because at 5:45, I popped out of the house and ran down to the church and was there for the registration. And I literally was not there. I think I was probably only there maybe 20 minutes, because we didn't have, it's day 2, or no, it's day 3, because we started Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's day 3, and so the newbies are kind of dwindling, and we're not having to do a bunch of registration for all the kids. The first night is the most hectic, and then last night wasn't too bad, and then tonight was even a little bit lighter. So got out of there pretty quickly. I was going to try and go to the concert in the park with my girlfriend. My sister is not going because she's teaching, so she's not done till 8 o'clock, but it's kind of stormy and cloudy, and we don't have any rain yet. We have the potential for it, and so my girlfriend and I just decided that we would just stay inside. I'm kind of worn out and tired, and she was kind of relaxing, and so we decided not to go to the concert in the park. I think it was a country band that was going to play this evening, and so I just came back. I got done at the church. I ran through the grocery store to pick up a couple things. I wanted to make a little sandwich, and ate a sandwich, and then I thought, well, I get this voiceover done. The boys were having a great time. I got them checked in to VBS, and their dad had brought them, and we were kind of standing watching them, and they were doing the music portion, at the beginning of it, and they were both just dancing and around and singing and just having a good old time. So they both got naps today, so hopefully they'll do well for VBS. They are soon to be 4, and then a 5-year-old. So we have got our sweet twist done, and we are going to move on to our holiday dreams. And for this, I took a nested die, and I used the inside piece and just die cut out our stamped image. It did cut off a little bit of the bottom, but I didn't mind. If I could have pulled my sentiment in a little bit closer to my stamp. Maybe not, though, because there's an edge on there, and I might not have had to cut it off, or I could have stamped them differently. But I just chose to stamp kind of the scene together on each one of these, keeping it very simple. If you're, you've got holiday card making and you're making a bunch of cards, you don't need everything to be incredibly difficult. So this is kind of a quicker set. Now I kind of have a little bit of a wide open space on the right side of this, so I decided to bring in some of my gold Spellbinders twine. And the pattern paper that I've chosen to pair this with has got some gold foiling in it. So that kind of drove me to the decision to add the gold twine with it, because then it would kind of pair nicely with the pattern paper. I am using the Dear Santa 6x6 pattern paper pad with a couple of sheets of pattern paper on these cards. So I'll link it in the description box below along with the other products so you can check it out if you're interested. But these are some very simple little sets that you can pick up for your Christmas cards if you like to color. And I really like the Peace and Joy to You this Christmas with Dove. And it's a pretty simple one to color. So I'm just going to get a bow tied in this. I brought in my gold tweezers to use, as a third hand. Normally my husband would put his little finger in there when I'm wrapping presents and stuff, and then I would tie. But without him, I need to use my tweezers for that. So that's what I'm doing. And we'll just give it a good tight squeeze and get a good knot in there, and then I'll just create a bow with it, and we'll get it tied up on there. And then, except for me speeding up the coloring, I just left this real time, so it might seem like it's taking me an eternity to get this bow tied up, but that's how long it actually took. So I'm just going to get it positioned how I want it. We'll trim off the extra long pieces, and then we'll have it, and we can get it ready to go. So I'll just bring in my scissors and snip that off, and then that'll take care of it. So there we go. We've got our panel. We've got a little bit of gold on there, and I'm going to bring in some foam tape, I think, and pop this up, and it'll just kind of help it to lay over that twine that I've got on there. So I'm showing you the gold foil that's on this, and I'm just going to cut it down to an A2 size panel, and we'll use it. This is almost like those cracker things, like the popper things that you would have at Christmas, this paper. I think that's what this is on here. And like party poppers or crackers, I don't know what they are. But I'm going to use this because it's got that gold foil in it, and we'll just lay it down on our card panel. I've just got some hammer mill paper cardstock that I have cut down myself and folded them, and we're going to use those for our card bases. And we're just going to have this little pop of patterned paper behind our little panel with our little scene. Now, I have done lots of house mouse videos on my channel. I don't know if I have any subscribers that are into the house mouse. If you are, if you would leave me a note in the comment box. And I know not, they're not for everyone, but I have done several videos with them. And so when they, when they come up and they're offered to me, I usually do go ahead and go with them just because I've got several series. In fact, I should make a playlist with those. I think I might do that. So I'm just going to lay some more of this foam tape down on here, and we'll get this popped up. Now, this is the foam tape that my grandson unraveled, and when he was making a belt out of this to go around his waist several times, and I've almost got it whooped. In fact, I think I probably will throw the rest of it away because the other end of it there that I had has lost its sticky because it probably was part of what was wrapped around his waist. Anyway, and so we'll get these release papers pulled off, and then we'll get it laid down here on our card base. So the boys we didn't really have much to do today because the weather just was kind of crummy. We had a little break early in the morning, and so we did go to a local park in a nearby town, and hadn't taken them to play at that one in a long time. I think Westy was very little last time I was there. And they've done so many things to the playground that is so nice. I was just Really impressed with how they had updated. They had several like hanging swings, like for the adults, like a porch swing. There were several of those, and then lots of different things for the kids to do. So it was a great park. We're definitely going to go back there. So I'm going to go on to my next set, and we're going to work with the sending piece. And we've got the little mouse that is just reaching up for the little peace offering that the dove is offering to her. And this little mouse here, his name is Monica. And she's just reaching up to grab that little sprig of peace and joy. And we're going to get this panel popped up. I'm going to pop it up. On the last one, I popped up the underneath. And then on this one, I'm going to pop up the top layer just to have a little bit of shadow between it and the layer that we're going to lay it down on. And I've just got some fern cardstock that I'm going to lay on this. I've used that same scalloped frame, nested frame for this, and I'll link it in the description box below if I'm able. And then we'll just kind of pair this up. And then we're going to bring in some more of that Dear Santa pattern paper and layer it on our card base, and then just add it. These are very simple cards. There's a lot of white from where I stamped them, and so I guess they're kind of clean and simple cards. So I've got this, I don't know if this is gingham or a plaid or whatever, but I'm going to trim it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we're going to get it laid down on our card base, and then we'll have a patterned layer for our panel to go on. So we'll just get it laid down. So we're still continuing to have problems with those Canadian wildfires. We still have those warnings about being outside. And so I'm hoping that eventually this will clear up a little bit and we won't have to be as concerned about that. I think I'm kind of getting over my little grogginess that I was having when it was incredibly strong. I hope that I am anyway. So I'm going to get my Peace and Joy to You this Christmas laid down on here and just try and get it lined up. And then I'm going to bring in some of the Dear Santa gems and add some to our cards. Now these gems have snowflakes on some of them, and then some of them are plain. I am going to use the plain ones. The colors they matched brilliantly with what I had chosen here. I've got a dark green that I can use on this peace card, and then I've got like a cranberry that I can use on my Holiday Dreams card, and it will match with the cardstock that I've chosen to use on that. So I'm just going to grab a couple of the green ones and lay them down on here. I think I started to do a third one, and then I decided that it was more than what I wanted. I know you're supposed to lay them down in odd numbers, but you don't always have to follow the rules. So I'm just going to get this one laid down on here. I'm going to contemplate a third one, and then we'll just move on to our next card. So here's where I grabbed one of the large ones. There were only 2 in that smaller size, and then I thought, I don't like that large one with these. And I thought about putting it under the bird there, and I thought, nope, we'll just go with that. We're going to leave it alone, and then we'll bring some in for our other cards. So I'm just going to push that aside. I'm not going to do anything with a stocking card because it's got enough detail on there. But this one's got some wide open spaces in it, and so I'll just choose to bring in I think I bring in 3. I'm going to do 2 at the bottom here, 1 small, 1 medium, and then we'll put another medium one up top. And we'll just have 3 kind of in a line across our card. And it'll just kind of fill in some of those white spaces. So with this, it'll finish off 3 more of my Christmas and July cards. And I paused a moment and just took a look, and I have got 37 Christmas cards already created for this season. So I am well ahead of the game, and I feel pretty good about it. I've taken some pictures of each one of the cards so that you can see them up close. And if you have enjoyed my video and like the card making content, I have listed a playlist here that you can check out and see some more of my videos. Thanks for watching.